Hello, night dwellers. Hello, hello, hello. How is everyone doing tonight? Happy Wednesday. Hello, Shirley. How are you? Hello, hello, hello. Hey, Kenny. Hey, Rhonda. Hey, boss man. Hey, Julie. Hey, Palm. Hello, Miranda. I'm doing good, Shirley. I'm good. Hello, Lulu. Queen Bee. I love that. Hey, Jester. Hello, Miranda. Do I like this? Hey, Bonnie Sue. How are you? Let me start to get some pictures pulled up here for the story tonight. Hey, Kingfisher. Hello, Rose Wiles. How are you? It has been a while. Hello, Angel 007. Hey, Kiddo and Heart. Always good to see you. Mariah, thank you for the follow, my dear. You know what? I'm not feeling the veil tonight. I think I like that better. Hello, Justine. I am good. Welcome. The story tonight. So, you know, we've been going down the states and we are finally at D. And tonight is the Rockwood Mansion in Delaware. It is rumored to be the most haunted place in Delaware. Hey Jennifer, how are you? Hey Pamela. Hey Zoe Ann. Come on in, Night Dwellers. Let's start sharing the live. Let's just send it out to people who like scary stories. Oh, really? Never thought. We have someone here who is from Delaware and has heard things about the Rockwood Mansion. It looks so haunted. I mean, unreal. When I started to do research for tonight and was looking for places that were in Delaware that were haunted, this was at the top of the list. They said it is the most haunted home in Delaware. So I'm excited. Lulu, Edgar is in timeout for now. But I told him that if he is good, he may make an appearance later. Good, Pamela. Hello, Marine's daughter. Your second home is in Delhi. I didn't know that we had people from Delaware in here. You probably can tell us a lot about the Rockwood Mansion. Hello, 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 hello. Jennifer, thank you for sharing the live, my dear. Let's start tap, 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 tapping. It activates the algorithm, shoots this out. TikTok is crazy about interaction. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Come on in, make yourselves at home. After last night, it took me a little bit of time to recover from that, to be honest. Hey Mary, hey Sherry. Hello, hello, hello. Hey, hey, hey. Hello, Eve. The mansion is Rockwood Mansion. ROCKWOOD. Yes, I have heard that it is extremely haunted. Hello, Brenda. How are you? If I am telling a fiction story, I will always let you know that. I know, Martha. Terribly sad. Hey, XJ! Lady X in the house. Hey, Gracie. How are you? Let's start sharing with friends, family, co-workers, neighbors, brother, sister, auntie, uncle, doggy, kitty cat. Hey Judy, how are you? Hello. I am in the US, Neverfold. Hey, toilet spider, how are you? If you are brand new here, if this is your first time, let us know. We want to meet you. This is a loving, safe, warm, welcoming environment. No judgment here. The only thing that we judge is energy vampires. We don't like them. So if you're one of those, toodaloo. Hey Cressy, how are you? Hello Gabby, thank you for the follow. Gabby, do you like scary stories? I am good. I'm always happy to see my night dwellers. Hello, Thumper. Welcome. Let us know where you're from. We have some that are from Delaware tonight, which is appropriate because the paranormal story that I am telling is in Delaware. The Rockwood Mansion. Let us know. Did you see us on social media? Were we on your FYP? Were you just happy to scroll by through chance and soul twisted tales live? Let us know. Hey Melanie. Hey Wolfman76. How are you? Love seeing new names. Come on in, make yourself at home. For the next couple of hours, I just want you to sit back and relax. Who doesn't like a good story before bedtime? Hello, Chica, how are you? Well, do you want me to be your vampire bride? Hello, Eddie Santiago. How are you? Kara's Glass Boxes. I love that name. Thank you for the follow. Oh, I love that, my lady. I love that. That is awesome. All right. It is about that time. Let's find some ghostly music, shall we? Thank you, X. Why, thank you. Thank you for sharing the live. Love you, Shirley. Can you hear the music? Hey, Harper's Happenings. Hello, Robin. You made it, Harper. Harper's Happenings. Her dog is absolutely adorable. Love it, love it, love it. Music is perfect. Wonderful. Let's get it into the mood, shall we? Can you hear me good? Welcome, night dwellers. This is the Night Realm. I am the Night Queen, and tonight I am telling you the story, true haunting of Rockwood Mansion. This one takes place in Delaware. And when I was doing my research on Delaware and the most haunted places, it was unanimous. This is it. Rockwood Mansion. Beneath the veil of ivy and stone, where silence walks and names are unknown, there lies a house the light disowns, a home for shadow, grief, and bones. Its halls remember every cry of babes unloved and mothers' sighs. The cradle rocks, though no one's near. It hums a lullaby of fear. A lady draped in mourning black paces slow, then circles back. She lost her child in time's cruel blade, and now she haunts the nursery's shade. So step within, if you dare, but mind the scent For lavender means she's close behind, and grape like hers is never kind. Lower your lights, lock your doors, pull your curtains nice and tight. Light a candle for ambiance, to cast creepy shadows on your walls. Wrap yourself in your warmest blanket to avoid the chills that are about to crawl up your spine. And let's begin. Chapter 1. A house built in silence. Welcome, night dwellers and guests. Tonight we journey to one of the most haunted mansions in Delaware, rumored to actually be the most haunted. It's called Rockwood. What begins as elegance ends in terror. This is no ordinary ghost story. This is a true legacy soaked in sorrow. The first thing that I want to do is set the scene. The mansion is located in Wilmington, Delaware. And this is the mansion. Pretty creepy, right? The great thing about this series that I'm doing is we are discovering the most haunted places in America. Rosewood. I'll show you pictures as we go along. Hey Mia. Hey Cindy Minnie. I will show you pictures as we go throughout the night. Here's another angle. I believe that that is from the back. Pretty sure. It's a good thing I'm not in photography. I would make you all nauseous. It is massive, it's huge. I know, right? So here we go. 1854. Brandywine 100, Delaware. What a name for a city. The land whispered before the first stone was ever laid. Let me introduce the man who built Rockwood Mansion. His name was Joseph Shipley. He was a wealthy Quaker merchant whose success in Liverpool had brought him considerable fortune. When he returned to America to retire, he longed for solitude He did not build for company. He didn't like company. In fact, he said more than once, I don't like people. He built for stillness. He built for solitude. He wanted to escape. Some say he built it for the dead. The mansion was modeled after a English Gothic revival style, complete with the arched windows, grey stone, steeped pitched gables, and a servant's wing tucked away from view. From the outside, the house is absolutely beautiful. I showed you the picture. Stately. But within its walls, there was something else. Something that permeated the home. A chill. A chill that would freeze you with fear. Shipley was unmarried. Some say that he was jilted at the altar, and that is why he wanted to be alone. He never got over his heartbreak, but it made him very negative. He was very stern. So he was unmarried and childless. He brought with him his only nieces and nephews and a handful of servants. Now, I don't know why that all of his nieces and nephews lived with him. I tried to find out something about that, but it was just very vague. The halls of Rockwood never heard laughter, save from the occasional visitor from the shipyards. Even then, many who arrived at this house spoke of an oppressive atmosphere. One visitor said, "You could be in the best mood, jolly, happy, no fear of the future, but the moment that you stepped the threshold into Rockwood Mansion, your joy left. Depression took over. Sadness." He said, "But for what? There was nothing for me to be sad about. But that house, something was wrong with it." They said from the moment that you pulled in the drive, you could feel it. The closer that you got to the house, something was wrong. Even the animals hesitated to cross the threshold. Mr. Shipley had very expensive dogs. They would not go in the house. He would have to try to pull them in, and that didn't work very well. The first winter was brutal. The winds came screaming down from the northern woods, like something was alive. Servants began reporting tapping on the windows at night. First faint, then furious. Once a maid named Liddy vanished for 3 days. She went upstairs to make the beds in preparation for visitors who were coming. She was gone for 3 days. They searched high and low, outside, inside, the maid's quarters, searched in town. She was nowhere to be found. 3 days later, Liddy was walking up the path. She was barefoot, soaked, and unable to speak. When she was able to talk about it, she said that she woke up in an orchard that was on the property. She said that when she went upstairs to change the beds, she heard whispering. Whispers that she didn't understand. Shipley said nothing, and he told her, if you utter one word, my dear, you will be out in the cold, and I will make sure that you never have employment again. He paid the doctor in full that came to look at her, and he forbade anyone in the house of speaking about it again. It wasn't long before other events crept into the silence of Rockwood. Shipley's dog, a large and fiercely loyal hound, had become fearful. He used to be Mr. Shipley's shadow. It refused to go down in the wine cellar. It refused to go upstairs. The furthest that the dog would go in the house, the kitchen, right near the back door. And any time that the servants opened it to discard food or hang clothes on the line, he saw that as an escape. When he was forced by Mr. Shipley, he would whimper and he would growl at the empty air. And eventually he would back away with his tail tucked between his legs and his teeth bared. One night, the dog saw something that absolutely terrified it. The servants say that it was running through the kitchen, down the hall, and made a leap right through the stained glass window, trying to please something that was unseen in the hall. Mr. Shipley went to investigate. There was nothing there. The dog was found the next morning. And, well, he had met a very tragic end. The servants also talked about a trail of dark prints, not human, but hoof-like, that was found leading from the cellar door down the hall and ending just before the shattered glass. There was one maid in particular who could see it really well. She told Mr. Shipley that it wasn't his dog's prints, that it was something else. Well, Mr. Shipley didn't like the girl saying that, so he fired her. Shipley cared for the dog, and he buried it himself in the grove behind the greenhouse. That was the second picture that I showed you. The area around the grave reportedly never grew again. not even moss. In 1860, word was getting around just how odd that Rockwood mansion really was. There were whispers of strange occurrences, and they began to drift into nearby towns. Visitors that were there, they heard footsteps pacing above their heads at night when no one was supposed to be upstairs. In fact, Mr. Shipley was entertaining, and they had a big party, and they could hear stomping going on upstairs. Mr. Shipley laughed and said, "Oh, I guess it's the ghosties." "Perhaps, Mr. Shipley." Drawers began to open and close on their own, as did doors. And there was the smell of lavender, strong, that permeated the whole house, but only at night. It was strong and cloying, and would flood rooms at random, particularly the music room, and upstairs in one of the bedrooms. There was a young girl. She was a niece from Maryland. She was upstairs and was preparing for dinner, and then suddenly she took off down the stairs and stumbled. She hurt herself pretty bad. The servants picked her up and took her in the kitchen. She said that she had been walking down the hallway past the nursery. She opened the door, and what drew her to it was a lullaby that she heard. Spooky, off key. So she opened the door. There was a woman dressed in black, standing by the crib, and she was humming the off-key, terrifying lullaby. When she saw that the girl was staring in, terrified out of her mind, the girl said that the woman in black began to speed toward her. And what terrified her most was she said the woman wasn't on the floor. She was floating. A few days later, the nieces and nephews were going through old photos, long dead relatives. She saw a picture, and she pointed to it. Mr. Shipley was there, and there was a woman that was beside him. Mr. Shipley saw it. "That's my sister. You never met her. God bless her soul. It was one of you that took her in childbirth. You did not see her. Do you understand?" "Yes, Uncle." The girl began to say things that were completely asinine. She said that the woman appeared to her again. And this time she told a servant that the woman whispered to her, "You need to sleep, because I need your eyes." The girl was so terrified, she never slept in that bedroom again. In fact, no one did. Perhaps the most ominous addition to Rockwood was that the staff called the mirror room. It was a drawing room that Shipley had outfitted with floor-to-ceiling mirrors, and they were imported from Europe. Very expensive. It was said that at night the servants would hear Mr. Shipley in the drawing room, the mirror room. He would have a candle lit, just one. And all the mirrors surrounded him. And he was talking to the mirrors. The servant said it was the most terrifying thing that she had ever witnessed in her life. One candle, one cruel man, and a room full of mirrors. When visitors would stay at Rockwood Mansion, they would come down for a glass of water or perhaps some type of a midnight snack, and they would hear him in the drawing room. One of them asked him one day, "Who are you talking to?" He would only smile and say, "Mirrors are merely windows. Sometimes you forget what side that you're on." Visitors often refused to enter the mirror room at all. Several servants swore that while they were in there cleaning, they would see reflections in the mirrors. One servant said she saw a figure in one mirror, and then it was in the next one, and then it was in the next one, and then it was in the next one. Some even claimed to see another figure in the room when Mr. Shipley was not in there. It was a woman. She was dressed in black mourning clothes. One of the servants was so terrified that she gave up her position because she said when she looked in the mirror, the woman was standing behind her. When she turned around, though, she was gone. There was another accident that happened in the mirror room. The butler was in there, and he was preparing for a big party that Mr. Shipley was throwing that night. He was shining the sterling silver, polishing it. He was terrified of that room after he had heard everything that it went on. I don't know what he saw, but it was something that made him have a seizure, and he collapsed in the mirror room in 1864. After that, the room was sealed. Curtains were nailed over the glass, and still, the only one that was allowed in that room from that point forward was Mr. Shipley. And the servants said they could hear him whispering. His words were unintelligible, but he was whispering. They could see the light of the candle, and they could smell the lavender. Strong, oppressive. In 1867, Rockwood caught on fire. On a bitter January night, smoke was seen rising from the east wing. Shipley's valet burst into town. The only people that were available were in the church. Mr. Shipley didn't go to church. And they were screaming that the mansion was on fire. When neighbors and firefighters arrived, they found that the flames had only scorched one room terribly, the nursery. The rest of the house remained cold, untouched, dark. And inside the charred room, all of the furniture in there had been destroyed. There was only one thing left. A scorched cradle and a melted porcelain doll. You know, one of those creepy ones with the glass eyes. The cradle was not really known to anyone then because all the children had grown up. They were in their teens now. When he was questioned about it, he said that it was probably just a candle that one of the servants had knocked over. Mr. Shipley died the following winter. Where, you ask? Take a guess. The mirror room. And immediately, the servants began to see him. Chapter 2, Lavender and Blood. Every haunting has a scent, night dwellers. At Rockwood, it was always lavender, sweet, choking, and full of sorrow. The deeper we go into Rockwood Mansion tonight, the stranger things will become. Lavender fills the holes, but what grows beneath its scent is anything but soothing. After Joseph Shipley's death in the winter of 1868, Rockwood stood still. Since he had no sons or daughters, the mansion passed to his great-nephew, Edward Bringhurst III, who moved in with his new wife, Anna, his second wife. They had 6 children from his original marriage. So his wife, Anna, had every intention to modernize the house, to brighten the place. She said, "It just needs a little bit of tender care. Just a little here, a little there. It will be the perfect place for us." She wanted to brighten the place. She said it was too dark. She wanted to restore it to its former splendor. New carpets, new wood floors, new beds, everything. She wanted everything gone. But Rockwood had other plans. From the very moment that the Bringhurst family arrived, the lavender returned. Not in pots or sachets, but in gusts, in waves, in choking walls of perfume that would flood bedrooms, especially the nursery. Anna Bringhurst, she began to complain of migraines and extreme dizziness hitting her. She loved the children. She was fearful that she could not have any of her own, so she loved them as she would her own. One night, there was a loud thump. Anna was found collapsed at the top of the servants' stairs. Blood was trickling from her nose, and she whispered, "She's up there. She's up there in the hall. She's dressed in black. She's just waiting. She's just waiting." She said that the reason that her nose began to bleed was because the woman in black turned to her, and she was humming that off-key, terrifying lullaby. And she asked Anna, "Where's the baby? Where's the baby?" Her husband went upstairs and checked the hallways, as did the servants. They found nothing. The family began referring to her simply as the Lavender Woman. A servant reported on many occasions seeing a pale figure in a dark morning gown, wearing a veil, probably much like this one, but it was covering her face. She was always pacing the upper hall outside the nursery. She was very bold. She would stare directly at anyone. But some of the servants said that she would drift in and out of focus. But her presence came with two distinct signs. One, the overwhelming scent of lavender. Two, a trail of bloody handprints on the wall in the hall. She was something to be feared, and it was Anna who decided that the Lavender Woman, well, she was not good, because every time that she appeared, every time that the smell of lavender entered, one of the children would always fall mysteriously ill. The youngest, Catherine, she developed seizures, but they only struck at night. Her brother Henry stopped speaking altogether after he claimed that he walked in the mirror room and saw a woman reaching out for him with skeletal fingers. He would not sleep in the room anymore by himself. And this boy, Henry, he passed at the age of 9. Housekeepers said that it was almost impossible to keep the nursery walls clean. Anna would ask them, "What is that on the walls?" "We don't know, miss." "Well, wash it." So they would. It was brownish red. The stains would appear on the wallpaper, and the wallpaper was new. So the servants did it. They would wash it. It would disappear. And within just a few hours, it was back. And I began to wonder Is the wallpaper defective? Is it too old? But then it began to appear in different places. The crib was painted white, but the brownish red stains were around the bars. And then they started appearing on the curtains. Despite being replaced, they always came back. Anna was terrified, as was her children. Thomas, not so much. He really didn't believe in it. But he told her, I want you to have peace of mind here, my dear. I will see what I can do to have someone come in and bless the house. So a local priest was brought in to bless the house. During the ritual, the mirror above the fireplace in the great room cracked, not shattered, but splintered across the glass like a spider's web. The priest immediately turned to Thomas and Anna. There's something very evil here. What do you mean? It doesn't like me. He left immediately, and even though Thomas begged him many times, he never returned. Anna Bringhurst began to become increasingly unwell. She took to her bed, claiming that her dreams were being pulled from her, that something cold and ancient was feeding off of her in sleep. The children said that she would murmur to herself in the early hours phrases like, do you see her? Do you see her? Not my baby. Please don't take my baby. Thomas was fearful that Anna wasn't going to make it much longer. She was just constantly rambling about the woman in black, the smell of lavender, and her appearing to her at night. Where's the baby? Where's the baby? Thank you. On Easter morning, 1872, Anna was beginning to feel better. Thomas had absolutely insisted that she move out of the bedroom. He moved her to the greenhouse. They set up a bed, and she was getting better. But then, one night, at a party, and there were quite a few people that were in the residence at that point, one of the ladies insisted on going upstairs and seeing what Anna had did to the place. It had been weeks since she had been up there, and she was beginning to think maybe it was just all in her mind. So she took the women upstairs, and they were chatting and being gleeful. The piano played downstairs, the food smelled delicious, and she took them from room to room. And that's when she changed again. The women had went down to the other end of the hall, and they were proceeding to go back downstairs. Anna heard it first, and then she smelled it, the lavender. she turned, and the woman was not gliding slowly. She was flying down the darkened hallway, straight toward Anna. And she said, "Where's my baby? Where's my baby?" Anna began to go downhill after that. She remained in the greenhouse, and then she started saying that this woman in black was coming up to the windows at night. And she would tap. Anna would rise and would look at her. And the woman would lift her veil and had the most hollow eyes. Anna began to scream. The staff arrived, but no one was there. She insisted that the woman in black was standing outside the window. It finally got to the point that Thomas had to have her institutionalized. She never set foot in Rockwood Mansion again. Edward was really into Halloween when he was a boy. And the children were insisting that they have a Halloween party. So that October, on the night of the blood moon, Edward held a dinner party for local dignitaries to distract them from the rumors of his wife being insane. He had told no one that he had had her institutionalized. He said that he had had her sent to Paris. It was a city that she loved. It wasn't true. And word had gotten out that Rockwood Mansion was indeed haunted. It was a clear and dry night. During dessert, all 12 of the guests responded, "Do you smell that? Do you smell that? It smells like lavender." It was so strong that it burned the backs of the visitors' throats. Edward just looked at them. "It's just a smell that comes through every now and then. It's just the servants. They pick flowers and bring them in. That's all it is." And then they heard windows open, shutting, open, shutting, open, shutting. They went to the music room, and one of the Gothic-shaped windows was lifting up and down, up and down. The candles that were on the dining room table where the guest had been just moments before, every one of them extinguished. And that was the first time they heard it. From the floorboards came the sound of a child crying, soft, distant, impossible. The staff searched the entire house. All children were accounted for. They were sleeping in the nursery. No one else was downstairs. One of the guests, who was a state senator, he suffered a heart attack on the carriage ride home. His final words were, "This house, it's bad. I need to leave now." Edward was mortified by what had happened, but he said there was a good reason for everything that has happened here. The state senator passed in the carriage. In early 1873, Edward had the nursery sealed with brick. He wanted no one else in there. When he would go and visit Anna, she constantly talked about the nursery. So he had the door removed and it was bricked up. The entrance completely vanished. And when that happened, the lavender smell that would permeate the house in the evenings stopped. Poof. Just like that. At least for a time. And then a few years later, the servants began hearing scratching from behind the walls like nails on chalkboard. And then it came back. The scent returned, not in waves, softer, but unmistakable. The servants began to report of being asleep at night and their hair rising off the pillow. One servant said that his head was jerked up off the pillow, causing him extreme pain. The children began to report feeling a breath on their neck. She was back. The lavender woman. Let's continue with rosewood, rockwood. Why do I keep saying rose? Because I love roses. So, we have a sealed nursery, a woman in black that exudes the smell of lavender, and a house that remembers everything. This is where things begin to turn violent. Chapter 3, The Walls That Breathe. Some houses are built of stone and timber. Others are made of memory, blood, and breath. We've sealed the nursery, but evil doesn't respect brick and plaster. We are now going into the very walls of Rockwood Mansion, where the house begins to breathe on its own. 1873 to 1888 were the years of silence. With the nursery sealed, the visitations of the lavender woman almost completely disappeared. She would sometimes appear, but it was very rare. Rockwood quieted for a while, but silence in a haunted house is like a held breath. It cannot last. It will not last. The mansion staff changed frequently during these years. They were absolutely terrified. One woman said that she was sitting at her bench brushing her hair, and out of nowhere, something pulled her braid, and jerked her up off the bench, casting her down to the floor. The maids absolutely refused to sleep upstairs at that point. Gardeners reported seeing a man that would just stand and stare at them from the shadows. One groundskeeper reportedly ran screaming from his small cottage that was on the estate in the middle of the night. His shirt was torn and claw marks were etched across his back. He never spoke about what happened. At this time, the house constantly smelled of lavender, even if it was day. It used to be only at night. Now it was in the daytime too. In 1877, Edward Bringhurst's second daughter, Lydia, began to complain. She said that the children were coming in and waking her up in the middle of the night. The children were asked, "Are you going in your sister's room and waking her up?" They would say, "No, Father." But she said at night that she would hear her door open and she could hear laughter. Now, his second daughter, Lydia, had extreme migraines. And when she had a headache like that to come on, the whole room had to be blackened. Curtains, everything. Not one sliver of light could come in. So she said while she was laying there in her bed, she would hear the door open. She would hear laughter, footsteps, pitter-patter, 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 pitter-patter across the floor. She told her father that she wanted to leave Rockwood. "This is your home." "It's not my home, Father. It's terrifying. I want to go live with my aunt and uncle in Rhode Island." She said that when she would hear the laughter, that it would become suffocating in the room, like she couldn't breathe. She would wake up, her nightdress and sheets soaked. One night, Lydia screamed so loudly that the entire household awoke. Edward ran to her room. He stumbled because it was so dark in there, but he finally managed to light a candle. She was sitting up in bed and she was terrified. "Do you see them? Do you see them?" "Do I see who, Lydia? Do you want me to take you to the same place that I took your mother?" "Father, it's real. Mother did not make this up. I'm leaving. I do not want to be here." And then she covered her ears. "Make them stop! Please make them stop!" So Edward let her move out. She had been gone for 2 days. One of the servant girls was upstairs making beds. She heard furniture moving. She walked out the hallway slowly. She opened the door that her mistress, Lydia, had slept in. This massive oak bed was pushed halfway across the room on its side. The mattress was soaked in water. The curtains had been ripped down from the windows. The maid left, and she never returned. In 1881, a tutor by the name of Mr. Alastair Franklin, he was hired to educate the younger Binghurst children. He was a man of logic, and the children would tell him after their studies was over, "You know this house is haunted. We have ghosts." He believed that haunting tales were childish nonsense until he began sleeping in the room that was closest to the nursery. He began to have nightmares of a man walking down the hallway with a single candle. He said that when he was trying to sleep in his bedroom that he would hear scratching behind the bookshelf. He claimed that when he was lying in bed that it seemed as if the very air was sucked out of the room and he couldn't breathe. His final letter, written days before he vanished, read, "Mr. Bringhurst, I can no longer accept the position of tutor to your children. There is something wrong with this house. They found the letter, and he was gone. But his personal belongings remained on the desk, his clothes still in the armoire. In 1884, a wealthy cousin from Boston, her name was Vivian Shipley, she came to stay at Rockwood for the summer. She was a woman of science and progress. She was known for her boldness and her sharp tongue. On her third night, as they were sitting at the dining room table, she started mocking the legend of the Lavender Woman. The children have been talking about it. "We have a ghost. Have you seen her yet, Aunt Vivian?" "Oh, your children are delightful, Edward. Let me tell you something, children. There are no such thing as spirits. It's just your active imaginations at play. There is no such thing." Later that night, a servant was on his way up to his quarters. He found Vivian unconscious in the hallway, lying down with her face on the floor. He tried to rouse her. He turned her over. Blood was pouring from her nose, and she had a terrified expression on her face. When she was revived and was laying in bed, she told Edward, "Do you have someone in the nursery? There's someone in there that was humming a lullaby. I could hear it." Edward said, "No, the nursery is closed up. The wall is there. I heard what I heard, brother. There is something in that room." Vivian never laughed again. Not once. She was absolutely petrified of what she had seen, of hearing the lullaby in the nursery that was closed up, and then seeing a woman in black walk straight through the brick wall out into the hallway. Where's the baby? Where's the baby? She left and never returned. By 1887, cracks had begun to appear throughout the mansion. Not structural, but unnatural. Tiny fissures that seemed to bleed dark water. Wall panels that warped and groaned like ribs shifting beneath flesh. Servants began hearing breathing when they stood alone in certain rooms, the parlor, the stairwell, the long upper hall. Hair was being pulled again. People were being pushed. One housemaid, Hannah, began recording what she called the pulse of the house. Every night at 3:12 a.m. without fail. She claimed she could hear a heartbeat in the floorboards beneath her bed. Thump, 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 thump. It grew stronger as the nights went on until one night it stopped. The next morning, Hannah was found dead. She was young. There was no reason that Hannah should have passed. Her eyes were wide open, frozen in terror. Her nose was bleeding. By now, Edward Bringhurst had begun to deteriorate. His speech was slurred. His hair was whitened within a year. He began to suffer strokes. He said that he was seeing a woman in his bedroom. He insisted that the servants move him into the green room, where his wife had been before she was institutionalized. He said that the woman was coming in wearing a black veil, a black dress. He said she would just stand and stare at him. That was all. He said that she was taking his memories and was replacing him with shadows. Edward died on Christmas Eve, 1888. He was slumped in his study chair. The servant said that just before he passed, he began to whisper a name, a woman's name, and that name was Emily. Chapter 4, The Servant's Wing. She walks the wing, no longer seen, where voices whisper, but none are clean. We now enter the part of the house while few dared to sleep, the servant's wing. It's where the help lived, and where the haunting fed without restraint. What happened in those forgotten halls was far worse than rumors. It was ritual. 1889 to 1901. As the family deteriorated, they suffered quietly in their still drawing rooms and crumbling corridors, Something far worse was unfolding behind closed doors, though, upstairs in the servants' wing. The house was dark, moody, ominous. Edward had an extension built on to the main mansion. The wing was a labyrinth of cramped quarters for the servants, narrow staircases, stone halls, low ceilings. There was no heat beyond the kitchen hearth, and the windows were smaller. They were barred and barred as if to keep something in, or perhaps something out. By 1890, 6 staff members had either passed away, disappeared, or had been institutionalized, talking about the woman, the man, the children's laughter, pulling their hair, telling them, your time is almost up. And yet, the family said nothing. Those that remained of the servants spoke only in hushed tones about a shadow figure that walked the wing at night. Not the woman in black, no, this time it was a man. They said that he would walk to and fro down the hallway with one single candle. And he was mean. Many of the servants saw him in their rooms. He would pull hair, jerk them up off their seats, pull them out of the bed and throw them to the floor. But the woman in black was not gone. No, she tended to haunt the family with that weird, off-key lullaby that stank of rot. There was a housemaid that her name was Cora Delaney. She was 17 years old. Cora had big dreams. She wanted to be a writer, an author, so everything that she did, she wrote it in a journal. The entries became lighthearted, descriptions of morning routines, little gossip, candlelit prayers, a boy that she liked, that worked in the stables. And then, as time went on, her diary entries became very dark. The air is heavy. My cross that my mother gave me burns at my neck. I wake to the sound of water running. Mr. Langley screamed last night. He said someone was in his room, kneeling at the foot of his bed, breathing heavily. We found him gone this morning. I miss him. His boots are still by the door. I see her, the woman. God help me. I hope I'm not next. I saw the most unholy thing last night. I woke up. My cross was gone from around my neck. There was a woman kneeling at the foot of my bed. Terrifying. Something is here and something is evil. And it's feeding on us one by one by one. The most terrifying thing of all. is when she was kneeling at the foot of my bed. Her movements were quick as she made the sign of the crucifix over and over and over again. My God, what is she? She did not make it. She passed. Her diary was found underneath her mattress. One of the older servants, a man named Thomas Gray, claimed that the real evil was below the wing. And it was in a door behind the larder, a place that they were never meant to find. It was a hidden basement, no light, no warmth. It was filled with crates, old oil lamps, and a strange stone slab in the center, etched with symbols that no one could decipher. He said that the scent of lavender was very strong down there. He started investigating, and he said that as he moved around the space with his lantern, he found a child's shoe. The scariest part of all, his candle extinguished. He ran up the stairs. He never came back, but he told the servants that were remaining, "There's only darkness here. And if you know what's good for you, every one of you, lads and ladies, you'll leave just like I am." Around that time, news staff were warned about the girl. It was a ghostly figure that had just recently appeared on the scene. She was seen in the kitchen at the hearth. The child could have been no more than maybe 10. She was young, but she was all wrong. Her mouth moved, but no sound came out. One of the servants spoke up. "You know what she looks like, don't you?" Another one of the servants responded, "What?" "She looks like that girl. The girl that passed in the hallway upstairs. She's come back to haunt it." They said that if you looked into the face of the girl long enough, you would feel the pressure in your skull begin to build, like something was trying to squeeze. There was a cook, her name was Agnes, and she was elderly. She said that she was in the kitchen one morning making biscuits. It was early. She said that when she walked in the kitchen, there was only one candle lit, so she lit more. She saw a girl sitting at the long wooden table. Her head was down, and she was crying. The old lady asked her, "What's wrong with you? What are you doing in here?" She said the crying stopped. The girl lifted her head. I just looked at her. The woman went blind. They said that her vision was already bad, but she went blind. And she told them, "It's the girl. She took my sight. She took my sight, I tell you." Another footman had been waiting in the rain for his master for hours. When they arrived back at Rockwood Mansion, he was sick. He had a terrible cold. The last anyone knows is one of the cooks had made him a concoction of honey and lemon and told him to drink it. A few days later, he unalived himself. He had told someone the night before about the girl by the hearth. In 1901, a new maid named Marianne was brought on. The poor girl, she only lasted 4 days. She told him she saw a specter in her room, kneeling at her bed. She said she'd seen too much. Doors opening on their own, windows rising and closing. But the most fearful thing was the woman in black at the foot of her bed. One of the house butlers, Henry Cross, wrote a desperate letter to his sister in Pennsylvania. He had begged her to let him move back in with her and her husband. He said that he had found employment, but that this house was not good, and that it made him very, very sick. Time passed, and the visitations from the little girl grew. She extended beyond the kitchen at this point. She was seen in the music room, the hallway. Servants said sometimes she would stand at the top of the stairs looking down at them. They had to go up there to extinguish the candles. Some said that she would mimic voices. They said that she was growing stronger and that no one could stop her. Chapter 5. The Greenhouse of the Dead. Some plants need sunlight, others bloom only in the shade, and some in the presence of death. We now step outside the walls of Rockwood, but not beyond its reach. The greenhouse should have been a sanctuary. Instead, it became a garden for the unforgotten and spirits, of course. 1902 to 1915, the Rockwood Greenhouse, once Shipley's prized sanctuary, had long been abandoned by the time the 20th century arrived. This is where Mr. Shipley liked to show himself. The greenhouse. The panes were cracked, the floor was damp. The family did not have as much money as they used to. Vines had overrun the stone paths, and insects danced over stagnant pools of water. But something still grew in the greenhouse, unnaturally fast, unnaturally thick. Visitors claimed that the lavender grew back no matter how often that it was cut. Roots like veins spread across the floor, up trellises, pulsing, clinging to the tile. Certain plants would not survive in the greenhouse. They would wither in mere hours. Others, especially those planted in or near disturbed soil, blossomed overnight, petals the colors of bruises. By 1904, the new groundskeeper, William Blaylock, was assigned by a family member to reclaim the greenhouse. He came to his charge a few weeks later. It's impossible. I cannot do anything in that greenhouse. Whatever I plant, it dies. He said that he would clear vines and they would just grow right back. And that's when he found something. Bones. Small, delicate, hidden beneath a wild lavender bush with no roots. They belonged to a child, and he wasn't exactly sure of the age, but the bones were small. There was no record of a burial at Rockwood, none made near a greenhouse. There were no cemetery plots nearby, no headstone. Even Mr. Shipley had been buried in the church cemetery. Household members began to avoid the greenhouse because they heard laughter, children's laughter, and they saw the shadow of a man. One maid reported that her son, who was age 7, she had to bring him to work with her. He wandered out of the house in the middle of the night. He was found standing in the cold, barefoot, scratched, bleeding. What happened to you? It was the man, Mama. The man. That child was never the same again. He lost the ability to speak. He would spend his nights sitting upright in her bed. He refused to sleep. And he was listening to something that no one else could hear. The child passed at 14. But when he was found, his face was twisted unnaturally. In 1909, the family hired a horticulturist from Boston to study the strange floral. His name was Dr. Lyle Warren. He arrived with skepticism and curiosity. He told them, I can make this look good again. Within 2 days of being there, he was pale, gaunt, and trembling. He said that when he was in there working, he heard weeping. And then he felt something scratch his back, his arm, his face. He ran out there one day, down the path, holding his face. His whole cheek had almost been completely flayed open. Dr. Warren fled the estate that very night. Years after being institutionalized, Anna Bringhurst was brought back to Ravenswood. She was old, very old, no longer the young bride of 17. She wandered the halls, silent. And then just a few days later, she began screaming, over and over. She wants her baby! Where's her baby? Where is it? Where have you taken it? She was sedated and returned to the asylum. Poor Anna. She passed 2 months later, whispering about the woman in black. In 1913, a new groundskeeper attempted to remove a rusted wheelbarrow buried behind the greenhouse. Instead, behind all those bushes, he found a cradle wrapped in roots, and inside he found a blood-stained lace bonnet, a melted doll's head, a single infant tooth still lodged in the silk. As he touched the cradle, the smell of lavender permeated the air. The greenhouse just went completely crazy and started doing things on its own. In 1915, a tree had begun growing in the greenhouse. No one had planted it. It grew fast, and it was thick with gnarled branches and bark that split like dry flesh. The tree bore no leaves. It would not bear a single leaf. The servants continued to report the sound of children laughing, a child crying, a woman in black that smelled of lavender walking up and down the halls. Well, not walking, floating. Let's take a quick intermission, and then I'll be right back with the second half of the Rockwood Mansion. Let me know in the comments if you're enjoying it. So what are you thinking of Rockwood Mansion? Did you know that it existed? Never heard of it. Never heard of it before. Thank you all for working hard on the taps. Thank you, thank you. Hey, James Schwartz. Hello, legend of the 80s. Oh, I'm so glad you like it, Deanna. It's creepy. You're loving it like McDonald's. I love that. That's funny. Hey, Roby. How are you? Bryce, thank you so much. Hello, Elaine. How are you, darling? Hello, the A-Himmer. How are you? I have not seen you in a while. I hope all is well. Good to see you. The Witch of Woodfin. Hello, my dear. Oh, hello, Just. Hey, Debbie Maple. Missed Paranormal Team, hello. Welcome, welcome. Hello, it's the Bad Bitch 22. How are you? I am loving these names. Hey, Azuka Razzle. Well, I hope this is a stress-free experience for you. Hello, Stephen. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for the follows. I am doing fabulous. My eye is itching a little bit. I think it's probably from cat fur. Edgar, what are you doing down there? Get up here. You want to see the night dwellers tonight? Huh? You want to see the night dwellers tonight? Huh? Come on. You are not a good boy today. But they want to see you, so I'm going to let them see you. But you better be on your best behavior.
Bran,
What?
Bran,
What?
Bran,
What?
Bran,
Yes.
Bran,
Yes.
Bran.
Yes. That is
Can I
my
have a
name.
snack?
No, you cannot have a snack.
Nevermore.
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 No, not until you behave.
Nevermore. Bran,
What?
Bran,
What?
Bran,
What?
Bran,
Yes.
Bran,
Yes.
Bran. Can I have a snack?
No, you may not. You cannot have a snack.
Bran,
And stop getting up in front of the
Bran.
camera. What?
Bran,
What?
Bran,
Yes?
Bran,
I'm changing my name.
Bran,
What?
Bran,
What?
Bran,
What?
Bran.
Yes.
Can I have a snack?
No, you cannot.
Bran,
The reason he cannot have a snack is because he's bad.
call.
He's just a bad bird.
Nevermore.
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 That's right.
Nevermore.
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 That's scary.
What's scary?
That's
The
scary.
fact that you can't have berries
That's
anymore?
scary.
What's scary?
That's scary, Bren.
It is,
That's
yes.
scary.
Yes. Can we please show
That's
that you have a longer vocabulary than what you're
scary.
showing?
Blueberries. 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 Blueberries.
Yes, there's blueberries. Do you see them? Do you see them there?
Blueberries.
Yes.
Blueberries.
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 Yes.
Nevermore.
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 Nope. Nevermore. No.
Nevermore.
No.
Nevermore.
Nevermore.
Can I have a snack?
No.
Can I have a snack?
No.
Can I have a snack?
No, you cannot.
Can I have a snack?
No.
Can I have a snack?
No, you may not.
Bad bird.
You are a bad bird. I
Bad
thought you were
bird.
going to talk to them. Why are you talking
Bad
to me?
bird. Bad bird.
You are a bad bird.
Bad bird.
And you're a camera hog.
Bad bird. Bad bird.
Yes, you're bad.
Bad bird.
You are very bad.
Bad bird.
Yes.
Bad bird.
Yes. Bad
Bad
bird.
bird.
Very bad.
Bad bird.
I'm glad you caught on to that
My
because
name
that.
is Edgar. My name is Edgar. My name is Edgar. My name is Edgar. My name is Edgar. Hello. Hello. Hello, night dwellers. 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 Can I have a snack?
No.
Can I have a snack?
You have got a one-track
snack.
mind.
Can I have a snack?
No, you may not.
Good bird.
No, you're not a good bird.
bird.
A good bird does what his owner tells him
bird.
to do. You're not a good
Good
bird.
bird.
No, you're not.
Good bird.
You're bad.
Good bird.
Oh my God.
Call! Call! That's scary, Bryn.
It
That's
is scary.
Bryn.
Yes.
That's scary, Bryn.
Can you say something different?
That's
Please.
scary, Bryn.
Please say something different.
Night Queen.
Now you're
Night
just sucking up to me.
Queen. Night Queen. Queen of Shadows.
Yes, I'm the Queen of Shadows.
Shadows.
Yes, that's the first good thing you've said all
Queen of
day.
Shadows.
Yes,
Queen of Shadows.
yes.
Queen of Shadows.
Queen of Shadows.
Queen of Shadows.
Yes,
Queen of Shadows.
yes.
Queen of Shadows.
All right, we
Can I
got
have a
it.
snack?
No, you can't.
Can I have a snack?
No, you may not.
Blueberries. Can I have a snack? Can I have a snack?
They've been putting blueberries on the screen.
Blueberries.
Eat those. You won't gain weight.
Nevermore. Nevermore. Bad bird.
Very bad.
Bad bird.
Very bad.
Bad bird.
Yes,
Bad bird. bird.
Yes.
Bad bird.
Yes.
Bad bird.
Yes.
Bad bird.
You're bad.
Queen of shadows.
We've already established
Queen of
that.
shadows.
Yes, we have.
That's scary, Brad.
Very scary.
Can I have a
Yes.
snack?
No, you cannot.
Can I have a snack?
No, you may not.
Call!
Okay.
Call!
Go do something. Go do something. Oh my God. There. He repeats and repeats and repeats. Oh my goodness. All right. Let's finish up the Rockwood Mansion, shall we? And now the cat is outside meowing. Chapter 6. The Catacombs Beneath. Not all foundations are made of stone. Some are made of secrets, sealed in silence and buried alive. Tonight, we are now going beneath Rockwood Mansion, beneath the roots, beneath the bones, beneath the cradle. What you find here may follow you back. If you are just coming in, I am telling the story of the Rockwood Mansion. It is the most haunted house in Delaware. So this is one of the pictures. The woman in black, the one that smells like lavender, this is the hallway that she is seen moving back and forth on certain occasions. Okay. Oh, there it is. Okay. Right here. See? This hallway. And these are family portraits on the walls. So picture in your mind a woman here in a long black dress and a veil floating. It is a lovely home. I mean, it is gorgeous for sure. Do you see that hallway? The walkway? That's where she goes. Also, this is the dining room. This is the dining room where Mr. Shipley had his guests around the table, and the doors and windows began to open and close on their own. It is beautiful, absolutely. This is one of the bedrooms. So this room here, this is where Anna had to sleep. And she said that she was better when she was in that room. And then Edward also moved in there. Yes, an atrium. Isn't it beautiful? This is the room where they claimed that the woman was kneeling at the foot of the bed. I think this is the creepiest part of the story. I mean, I think that's the creepiest part. The woman kneeling at the foot of the bed and doing the sign of the crucifix over and over and over again. I thought that was terrifying. And then here's another super scary picture. It's haunted. It is definitely haunted, for sure. Definitely haunted. (1916 to 1932), The Buried Truth. Rockwood was already a house of whispers by the time that the catacombs were rediscovered. During a brutal winter storm in 1916, part of the ground behind the greenhouse collapsed. A gardener that was attempting to fill the hole, he fell into a chamber, fell straight through it, a chamber that was arched, stone-lined, and stretching into the earth like ribs. What he had stumbled into, though, however, was no cellar. It was a crypt, and not just one. It was a network. Hidden beneath the mansion were catacombs, passageways no family member had ever claimed to build. Some dated further back than the actual house itself, which was built back in the 1800s, suggesting that something had been buried there long before Rockwood ever stood. A team of men were hired by the current owner. Local laborers were hired to investigate. Only 4 of them went down. They described long corridors that were lined with alcoves, some filled with skeletal remains in unnatural positions as if they had been bound or twisted. Others bore markings on the walls, a mix of different phrases and crude seagulls carved deep into the stone. The men claimed that the air grew warmer the deeper that they went, not colder, and that breathing became very difficult, as though the earth itself was exhaling. A sulfur scent was very strong. They came out stating that in the shadowed catacombs they saw a figure moving in glitchy patterns. A woman in a long black dress. Further exploration revealed a spiral staircase, narrowed and chiseled by hand, that led down into the darkness. When a rope was lowered down with a lantern, it seemed to never touch the bottom. At 40 feet, the light vanished, not dimmed, but snuffed out, as though swallowed. That passage was sealed up with bricks the next day. But at night, staff began hearing more sounds beneath the floors, knocking, breathing, whispering, weeping. In 1920, the children of the house discovered a tunnel behind the wine cellar wall. It was an unsealed passage that led to a small stone room containing nothing but a broken table and chairs that were smashed to smithereens. And that just opened up more at Rockstone Manor. They started to hear more voices, more whispering. One child was found kneeling in this small room. Her hands were bleeding, and she just kept saying, "Mama, Mama, Mama," all over again. She was questioned, and she said that a woman had appeared to her in a long black dress. Further inside the catacombs, a single object stood out. It was a cradle that was almost made of stone. And when one brave soul touched it, they claimed to hear a baby's cry echoing through the chamber. The workers and anyone else who went down in the catacombs, they suffered scratches, deep gouges. And when one of the men emerged, he had a heart attack. By 1932, the family had suffered enough. Between the disappearances, the hallucinations, family passing away, and the relentless growth of lavender, even inside the catacombs, the Bringhursts finally fled the house for good. They locked up the mansion. They boarded the servants' wing. A psychic went to the mansion. She said that while she was there and was walking around the property and was close to the catacombs, she had a feeling of many children being around her. She said that she also had a visit, and that the woman told her that she was a midwife and she was buried in the catacombs. This woman was accused of witchcraft. She was blamed for the deaths of several infants in the 1700s. She was said to have cursed the land, swearing vengeance on those that took her life. They say that her spirit fused with the land, and that Rockwood was built over her grave by design, not coincidence. They say that Joseph Shipley knew. They said that he knew everything. (1933 to 1951), a house for show. After the Bringhurst family abandoned Rockwood, the property stood dormant for over a year. Even the psychic had not been allowed to go inside the house. She was allowed to walk around the property, but she was not allowed in the house. Windows were shuttered, the lavender had grown completely out of control. And locals said that when they would pass by the property, they could hear screaming, laughing, weeping. Then came the proposal: turn Rockwood Mansion into a historical landmark and a public park. In 1935, the grounds were cleaned, the greenhouse was boarded, the nursery remained sealed, but the rest of the mansion was reopened to the public. They completely restored paintings, and Rockwood's doors opened for tours. Her name was Marjorie Wills. She was 24. She was an aspiring writer. She led the 10 a.m. daily tour for just under 6 weeks, and she loved it. Visitors adored her. She knew everything that you could know about Rockwood Manor. Until one afternoon, during the final stop of her tour, she paused at the foot of this grand staircase. She turned to the crowd. Her eyes were wide. Do you see her? Look up. They looked up the stairs to that walkway that I showed you in the picture. Do you see her? Some said they did. Some said they didn't. Everyone laughed, thinking that it was just part of a performance. But other tour guides said that Marjorie began to act strange after that day. She just disappeared. Gone. Some say that they think something took her, that maybe she saw the woman in black and followed her. By 1938, complaints began rolling in from guests. Some claimed that their group numbers changed mid-tour. A woman entered with her husband and left alone, only to find him outside. He insisted that he had never walked in the mansion. Others described cold hands grabbing theirs in the parlor, hair being pulled. And then there was this one little girl. She walked up to her mom and said, "The lady over there, she said I look just like her daughter." The mother looked. There was no one there. What does she look like? She began describing it, and the tour guide said, "Well, it looks like we've had a visit from the lady in black." Another child cried uncontrollably the whole time that they were in the house. The whole time. And the mother was so upset because she really wanted to visit Rockwood Mansion. She said that the moment she walked out the doors, the child stopped. And what she said was so odd. Her child was a good child. She didn't cry. Amateur photographers flocked to the mansion for its architecture because it is a beautiful home. But what they captured was not architecture. They captured pictures of a woman standing in the shadows in black. They captured a young girl standing in the hallway next to the kitchen. They saw the blurred lines of a man peeking around the corner of the music room. In 1944, a man named Walter Ames stayed after hours to document the mansion's acoustics. Apparently, the acoustics were wonderful. He set up microphones in the parlor and left them overnight. When he reviewed the audio, the first few hours were quiet, and he was just about to turn it off. And then he heard breathing. And then he heard an off-key lullaby. He heard the sound of rocking, almost as if a rocking chair, rocking back and forth, back and forth. And finally, he heard a man's voice whispering, "Get out." That was probably Mr. Shipley. Remember, he didn't like anyone. In 1951, a volunteer named Leonard attempted to restore the servants' wing. While removing rotten paneling, he uncovered so many different things. He uncovered notes that servants had written in the past, describing that they were hearing voices, whispering, shadows. He then said that he saw her, the woman in black. He said that he had came back to the house that night. He wasn't scared. He said the moonlight lit up the music room, the foyer. And he said when he looked up the stairs to the second floor landing, there she was, the woman in black, staring right down at him. He never returned to Rockwood. And mysteriously, he too passed 6 months later of sudden cardiac arrest. When he was found, his hands were clutched to his chest. His knuckles, they said that they looked like they were broken, as if he was trying to hold something in. In 1952, after multiple reports of unexplained injuries, missing persons, and growing unrest among the staff, the house was closed to the public once more. But the house never closed to those it called. And in the silence that followed, people still came, drawn to it, dreaming of it, claiming to hear off-key lullabies in their sleep. Chapter 8, The Return of the Lavender Lady. 1953 to 1975, The Resurgence. Though the mansion was closed to the public, Rockwood wasn't forgotten. Urban explorers, spiritualists, and curious teens always found their way in. And every year, more stories poured out. I saw her in the greenhouse. I saw a man in the greenhouse. I heard a child cry upstairs. I saw the woman in the upstairs hallway. But one name returned more than any other. She is the most prominent, the Lavender Lady, the woman in black. In 1959, famed medium Eloise Grant conducted a seance in the servants' wing. She had to pay a lot, but it was broadcast live on local radio. Listeners reported hearing a child's voice in the background whispering when the seance was going on. And apparently it was quite clear. The child said, she said, "We don't have to die. We just have to sleep." Eloise, the psychic, passed out mid-broadcast, convulsing. When she came to, she said, "The woman, those poor children, hanging, mad." In 1963, a homeless man was found deceased near the greenhouse. He had no identification, and the coroner's report noted no wounds, no illness, cause of passing unknown. But when the paramedics arrived to take him, they said he smelled exactly like lavender. So much so that when they took him out of the car, it had to be fumigated because the lavender was so strong. In 1970, a photographer named Lorraine Bidham gained access to the mansion with permission from the city because it was now considered a historical restoration. She took over 200 photos of hallways, portraits, staircases. One image captured her standing in front of the sealed nursery wall, and she was smiling. But when the film was developed, she wasn't alone. Behind her stood a woman in black, mourning garb, one hand resting gently on Lorraine's shoulder. Her face was obscured. Lorraine couldn't believe what she saw. From 1971 to 1975, local emergency services began receiving strange calls from the Rockwood line. There was a phone in there. No one was on the other end. And sometimes, some of them reported in the background that they could hear an off-key lullaby. And sometimes it still happens. There is this phone that is in the foyer, and sometimes it will just ring. And when you go to pick it up, no one's there. In 1975, the city announced plans to reopen Rockwood as a cultural museum. Repairs began. Within 2 weeks, 3 workers were injured. One fell through the floor into the catacombs again. His leg was broken in 6 places. He claimed that something had grabbed him from the dark and pulled him. Another was found unconscious in the hallway upstairs. Her nose was bleeding, and she was murmuring, "The woman, the woman." Another person disappeared entirely. He went to Rockwood, but the remaining workers that were there said they saw him, but the next day when he was to report to his job, he wasn't there. His family never found him. Construction halted yet again, and Rockwood was left in limbo. By the end of the 1970s, locals no longer spoke of Rockwood with curiosity. They feared it. Children told stories of the Lavender Lady, a woman who wandered homes at night searching for her baby. Another psychic that was there said she picked up on the same exact vibe of the witch that was tortured. And she was a midwife too, and apparently she was pregnant. The psychic said that the woman was mad, not just because her life was taken, but the life of her unborn child. Chapter 9. The nursery reopens. It was sealed to keep something in. It was sealed because something was hurting people. But nothing stays locked forever. (1976 to 1999). For decades, the nursery at Rockwood remained the center of all fear. It was this woman in black who would appear floating. "Where's the baby? Where's the baby?" When they opened the wall, they smelled lavender. Strong. When the restoration project resumed in 1976, no one really wanted to open that room. But the floor that was above this room was collapsing on the third floor, so the damage demanded that it be opened. And so on a quiet April morning, the wall was broken down. It had been sealed for decades. The workers were cautious and they began to chip away layer by layer. And behind the plaster they found the original door frame. And inside was a room that was untouched by time. Dust floated. The wallpaper had browned to a terrible red, brownish color. But the air was thick with lavender. And there it was, the cradle again, rocking, slow, deliberate, empty. But what they didn't understand was how it was rocking. There was no breeze stirring it. There was no force that moved it. The foreman, who was a practical man, he reached down to stop the cradle, and it stopped. And then he jerked violently in the opposite direction. He screamed. He fell backward. His wrist was broken. The moment that the nursery was opened, the activity surged. In the house, once again, mirrors cracked in unrelated rooms. Lavender permeated the house again, strong. Visitors claimed to hear lullabies, but there was no music box, and a music box would not be off key like that was. There was one child that was on a field trip at the house and vanished for 40 minutes. She was found upstairs in the nursery, silent and blinking too slow. When asked what happened, she replied, "The woman, she asked me if I was her baby." In 1983, a paranormal research team from the University of Delaware was granted access for 3 nights. They placed cameras, recorders, EMF meters, especially in the nursery, because everyone believed that this was the hotspot for all the activity. This is what the paranormal investigators said they witnessed. The cradle rocked faster the longer that the night went on. They said it started out slow and then it increased. At exactly 3:12 a.m., the camera cut to static in the nursery. One microphone picked up a voice whispering over and over, "Where's my baby? Where's my baby? Where's my baby?" In 1991, a medium named Vera Bloom visited Rockwood alone. She had a problem with it because years before she had tried to enter Rockwood and she couldn't. She could not walk through the door. But this time she was able to. She entered the house, walked up the stairs along with the other people that were with her. She entered the nursery, placed her hand on the cradle, and began to weep. Uncontrollable tears. When they got her out of the house, she said she saw what she needed to see. She saw a woman wearing a long black dress with a veil, suspended from a tree. She said that the baby's name was Rose. She said that the mother died before the baby did. The psychic then screamed and fell into convulsions. She wants vengeance, she said. Vengeance for Rose, who was never born. By 1999, the cradle had become the focal point of the haunting. No matter how often it was moved, locked, or sealed, the cradle would return to the center of the nursery, always facing the east window. And the walls again were covered in red and brown stains. They say you can hear the crying of Rose, the unborn child of the witch, the midwife that was never born. The final chapter, chapter 10. She was buried in silence, but curses do not sleep. They bloom. "1803, the land before the mansion. Before Joseph Shipley laid a single stone, the land that would become Rockwood was already feared. It was already haunted. The house did not stand a chance. In the late 1700s, it belonged to the Ashwood family, a quiet farming clan with a long, dark history. The women. Locals whispered that the Ashwood women were wise ones, midwives, herbalists, and some said witches. There was one in particular that was feared above the rest, and her name was Eleanor Ashwood. She was a healer, but her herbs cured infertility, summoned bleeding, and supposedly let women speak to the other side. In 1794, she was accused of sacrificing a newborn in a ritual gone wrong. No body was ever found. Only a cradle that was blackened and burned beneath lavender. Eleanor was accused of witchcraft. They took her life. And as she was swinging back and forth, she determined in her heart then that she would haunt that land forever. It is also said that she shouted out before her hanging, "Please, let me go after my child is born. I did not do anything to that other baby. I promise you I did not." "Shut up, witch." She begged for the life of her unborn child. That field was never set foot on again until Shipley bought it. In 1851, the mansion was built. I don't know if Joseph Shipley knew that he had built it over a burial site of where a witch was burned. He said that he told many people that he always felt like the first room to be constructed in that place should be the nursery. And he couldn't explain that because he didn't have children and he wasn't married. But he always felt that children would reside there. In 2004, the city planned to turn Rockwood into a museum again. And this time, it's not known to everyone, but they brought in exorcists, mediums, and priests. They held one in the nursery. They burned sage, they chanted prayers, they blessed every room. The lavender died, the cradle stopped. And one pronounced, "She's gone. She is at peace. May Eleanor forever be at peace." Today, Rockwood lives. People visit it every day, but they still smell lavender. They still see shadows. They still hear whispers. The curse didn't end, not by a long shot. Rockwood may be open But Eleanor's grief is still going strong. Her madness, her anger at them taking the life of her child. So if you visit Rockwood Mansion and you smell lavender, she may just be behind you. And that is the haunting of Rockwood Mansion in Delaware. What a story. What a haunting. Oh my goodness. I personally love lavender. I really do. I love it. Isn't it crazy? Hey, Hopi Love, Little Butterfly. Hey, Turtle Woman. Thank you for liking the live. Thank you for the follows. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, James. All right. So, hey, Propaganda, how are you? I love lavender. It is truly one of my most favorites. Hey, Cece. Hey, GD. Hey, AJ Cab. How are you? So, good night, Ray Ray. It was very interesting. Hey, Lisa, rise up for love. So, tomorrow night, we are going to do something that I am so excited about. So, do you remember on the Wheel of Fate when a horror movie was on there? And I took Hellraiser and turned that into a story for the live. Well, starting tonight, tomorrow night, Thursday night, we are going to have horror movie night. I'm going to adapt it into a story. So, I am ready for suggestions. I am ready for what scary movies do you want to hear in story form? Let us know in the comments. I am working right now on deciding on what that movie turned into a story will be tomorrow night. I think it will be a lot of fun. Nightmare on Elm Street. Here we go. Storm of the Century. Yes. Love them all. Do you know how many horror movies there are? There are a lot. So we are going to be doing that. Salem's Lot. I did think about that one. Chucky. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So I think it will be a lot of fun. The Gate. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You know, I've seen that one so much as a request. Dreamcatcher by Stephen King. I love all of them, but Something in the Woods. Okay. It. Yes. It is going to be so cool. I'm going to have a lot of fun with it, for sure. Yes, so if my night watchers could please document these requests. Annie. Oh, that one would be good. The Shining. Oh. Oh. Silence of the Lambs. Yes. All of these are fantastic, and I know that everybody really enjoyed it. And when I told Hellraiser, I know a lot of you went back and watched the movie. You're like, okay, now I've got to go back and I've got to watch the movie again. Us. Us is so good. So, so good. Cujo, yes. They're all fantastic movies. Amityville Horror. I was just kind of going down the list today in my mind. The Conjuring. So many different ones. The Enfield Haunting. Good night, Ray Ray. Hopefully we will see you tomorrow. Storm of the Century, one of my favorites. Love it. Rose Red. Poltergeist. We're going to go crazy with it, and we're going to have a lot of fun. The Sixth Sense, yes. The Exorcist, yes. Oh, wow. Yes, I think that would be good. Conjuring. I hear you, Lulu. Omen. Oh my gosh. Yes, that would be. Oh, wow. You know, one time I told Rosemary's Baby. Raybab, you just put Rosemary's Baby. That's too funny. I'm going to do Storm of the Century. I promise that's going to happen. Hope you love. This is for you, Damien. So scary. I'm like, really? You have to do that? Can I do one that hasn't been written in a book? There are many horror movies that have never been written in a book. So, I mean, pretty much the sky's the limit. That was one of the most terrifying scenes, most definitely. And it's going to be something that I can really get into character with, you know. Sleepy Hollow, that is another good one. Absolutely. If you are already in the Discord channel, and you know, you can also drop ideas for it in the story submissions as well. Carrie, I was just thinking about that today. I would do the mother in such a creepy way. She's terrifying. Oh, thank you, Hopi Love. Well, that's what we're going to be doing now on Thursdays. Just a couple things. We almost hit the live goal. Not quite. So let me go in there and edit it, because if it's not hit, then it can affect our growth. And so we do not want that to happen, do we? Okay, so a goal set that I think is attainable. Yes, James, absolutely. Abandoned. Melanie, I've got to watch that movie. It looks so creepy. Yeah, so many good ideas. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, Night Dwellers, for getting me there. All right, so we'll just stick with those. And this one went a little long. I really am enjoying just bringing Misery. Oh my God, that is one of my absolute favorites, Sherry. That is too funny. So, I am truly exhausted and hungry, and I want to go and eat some food. Dolores Claiborne, yes. Cat's Eye, yes. I will remember all of these for sure. Snickers bar, yes. I'll tell that story. So I'm going to go, and I'm just going to leave y'all tonight with have the most terrifying dreams. And I will see you tomorrow night, Thursday night, for horror movie night. Love you all. Bye.